Hello again, everyone. Terry Earthwind Nichols from evolutionaryhealer.com with our Protecting Your Business webinar series. Our guest today is Chala Dincoy. I'm excited to talk to a marketer and somebody who's a strategist. This is lovely.
Yeah.
Chala, welcome to our series. We're so glad to have you with us.
Thank you, Terry. I mean, I'm so excited. You know that I'm sort of like a virgin to what you're doing. And I found you guys, and I'm so excited because I'm sort of like de-virgining myself with you guys, and this process is very, very exciting to me. So thank you for having me.
Great. Thank you. This is great. So, we just started from a conversation, and the conversations go a lot of different ways. And a
Yeah.
lot of these webinar series just start from a phone conversation with two people talking, we ought to do something with this. Yeah, I think so too. Well, I know
Yeah.
so-and-so. Well, I know so-and-so.
Yeah.
Well, let's invite them. Let's see who's got schedules and let's make it happen.
I know.
And some of the best webinar series and telesummits and stuff started exactly that way.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm
it's all
so
beautiful.
impressed. But what I'm most impressed with is the speed with which you put it together.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you. So I really, really thank you for this.
Oh, yes, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you want to know something about Chala. Chala, how did you get to where you're sitting here today? What's your background?
My background is all corporate, believe it or not. Did you ever work for corporate, Terry?
Yes.
Okay, so you know the pain I'm talking about. Okay. For 20 years, I worked for giant corporations like Pepsi, Pizza Hut, Frito-Lay, and I was always the marketing girl. And so, 3 years ago, I don't know how long it's been for you, but 3 years ago, I said, that's it. I'm going to have my own business, and I haven't looked back.
Very good. Very good. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm not employable, right? So office politics and those kinds of things was never very good for me.
Oh,
So
wow.
even when I would get to C-level in the corporations, national and international corporations that I worked for, I didn't stay very long because I'm not real good at that. And now I
Right.
know on this journey that I'm on right now why I'm here. And
Wow.
and it's all beautiful because like you and many of you listening here today, there all those experiences can help you
Yeah.
be a better business person and different things like that. And as a boss later, as you expand, right,
Yeah.
makes you a
Yeah.
better boss because you're not going to treat people the way you used to be treated. So
Yeah.
it's a
Oh,
beautiful thing.
you're right. You're so right. So yeah, you smartened up to your true purpose, and so did I. And it took a lot of guts, though. I don't know how it was for you to, leave, because I come from an immigrant background that told me always be safe, never, gamble with your earnings or
Uh,
your life, right? So, and when you're an entrepreneur, you're constantly trying new things, like just this thing, right?
yeah, yeah,
So it
absolutely.
was something else.
Uh-huh. Well, great. Well, ladies and gentlemen, protecting your business, how to find your sweet spot target market.
Yeah.
So, how did you get into target marketing? Where did that come from?
Well, it's really interesting, actually. Every year, I mean, products like Pepsi, Pizza Hut, Frito-Lay, every year there's a new product, right? I mean, you go to the shelves, they're just full of new line extensions, and that was my job. They'd say, "Okay, Chala, this year we're launching 5 new products, and you have to find who the ideal client is, what the sweet spot market is for that target, and then what's the positioning and what's the pricing, what's the packaging." And I had to make a whole marketing plan for them. So that's how it started. Now people, small businesses like yours, are like those products for me. I look at a
Uh,
place where they can make, who's the ideal client, right? And then how do you get in front of them, and what do you say to them so that
mm,
you'll make more money faster? Really, it's really, really important. So actually, let me tell you about how to pick it. So it's really, really, it looks like an eye chart. It's complicated, but for the viewers on the call who can see, I've simplified it down to 4 models of your who, which is at the top, and your what, which is at the bottom. And the square, you start with a square. So if a business is in the form of a square, you guys have an Applebee's, like a restaurant called Applebee's in where
yes.
you are? Okay. So what, have you been there?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So do you remember what kind of cuisine it is?
Yes. In fact, we go there quite often. So
Oh, is
yeah.
that right? Okay. So Applebee's is what I use as the example of the square because they've got Mexican, they've got French, they've got every kind of cuisine you can find, and their, you know, menus as thick as a book.
Yeah.
And what kind of prices do they have compared to, say, like a French restaurant?
Oh, it's quite reasonable for
Right.
compared to a French restaurant because,
Yeah.
well, we know. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. So the prices are lower. And what about the people who go there? Is it seniors or teenagers or little kids? Who goes there?
Well, it's a good mix
It's
because of the
everyone.
variety. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
exactly. So that would be the form of business that is the square because I'll work with anyone and do everything. And let me
Uh-huh.
tell you, it is for a small business like ours that is service based, it's the hardest form to market. So the example I gave is for, let's say, a coach like you guys and me. And let's say the who you would work with could be anyone from corporate to department managers to HR managers to even entrepreneurs. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of businesses who say that's what they do. I ask them, who do you work with? And they'll go, everybody. I work with big business, small business, entrepreneurs, dogs, you name it. I work with everyone. And then what is, let's say you do training, life coaching, leadership coaching. It's not to say you shouldn't do it, but should you be marketing yourself as all three? Because there are specialists in all three. So what you want to
Absolutely.
get to eventually is the last shape. So the second shape is the upside down, which is the what I call that the Starbucks model. Are you a Starbucks fan?
Present.
Me too. So the Starbucks it's all about the coffee, right? So when you have just a product focus, but you serve everybody, so it would be like you do only leadership coaching, but you do it with, let's say, the army, you do it with entrepreneurs, you do it with corporations. It would be everybody. That's the model. But that's better than the square. If I could just move you over one, I'm happy. You're going to make more money. So now the other flip side of that is, do you guys have a restaurant called Chuck E. Cheese, like for kids?
Yeah, there's I don't know if there's any around here, but yes. Mhm.
Right. So that one's the next model, which is the who model. All they talk about, all they concentrate on is the who. But again, you can offer all services, all products. But so for example, I knew a PR company, an advertising firm, and they also did PR, design, everything you can think about, but they only did it for mining companies. So that would be that model. And they were like beyond successful, and they had more money than anybody could ever imagine. And nobody had heard of them except if you were in mining. And then, of course, the last shape is really the ideal shape, and that's if you have one specific thing that you do for one specific group. And that's what I try to get my clients to. It's really hard. So where do you guys see yourselves in this model?
Actually, that's us in the fourth group.
So you're in the very furthest right.
Yes, I am.
Mm.
We have, as you and I've talked,
Yeah.
we have two basic arms to our organization: the nonprofit side and the for-profit. The for-profit is strictly health and wellness, female practitioners
Mm.
in 30 to 55 range,
Right.
and our nonprofit is veterans and their families. So yeah,
Nice.
so
Oh, that's
but
lovely.
the marketing is targeted. Yeah.
That's wonderful. And it's because you really don't know what to do and I'll show you why that makes sense. Why do you need a niche is to figure out what to say in your messaging. Because, for example, if you're helping moms of, teenagers versus a corporation, or if you're helping a corporation versus an entrepreneur, you could be doing the same thing and there are elements that are common, but their pain points are different and the
Right.
language around their pain points are different. So your web copy is different, your tagline could be different, how you introduce yourself should be different, your blogs, your keynotes. And the biggest thing is your SEO. Like what people typically, how did you figure out your SEO? Did you figure out your SEO on your own or did you hire someone or how did you do it?
No, I did it on my own. I was already aware of SEO before we started putting company together.
Yeah.
And for instance, if you Google Terry Earthwind Nichols,
Mhm.
the first 2 pages is just me. If
Yeah.
you evolutionary healer is so unique and the CR process is so unique, Google is the entire first page is our website.
Wow.
So and that's beautiful, and we love that. What helps a lot for us particularly is the repetitive behavior cellular regression. We're the only people in the world who doesn't.
Mm.
So whenever we use those words in
Yeah.
SEO at all, we
Yeah.
automatically come to us. That's the
Yeah.
beautiful part for us particularly. But
Yeah.
before we started really marketing that, we still had most of the first page. Bing, we used to have all of the first page, but there's somebody similar to Evolutionary Healer out there who's making some moves.
Yeah.
They haven't been able to get higher than the bottom of the page, but they made it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I love how specific that is because you know that there are companies who make their living on SEO, right? And
Yeah,
there's even Google AdWords that will tell you how many words or phrases get more hits than others. So
right.
if you let Google AdWords or just the sheer number of hits pick your niche, you can starve to death. So I'll give you an
Yeah,
example. We had an organizer. They're like a garage organizer, but they'll also do closets. And the way that they picked their SEO was that people were mostly searching for closet organization. But when they looked at their profitability and their niche, the number one niche that was growing in their market was garage interior. So because they chose their SEO expert chose their search words based on what was most popular, they completely missed the boat on owning the web around their own niche, which was garage organization. So that's why when you have a niche, the way that I have my clients determine their SEO is to actually ask human beings who said, I am looking for that service and I am in pain for that need of that service. Then we ask them, because people treat Google like a friend. They say, where do I find a garage organizer in Toronto? So that's how we decide SEO instead of looking at what are the big hits. Does that make sense?
perfect sense. Great.
Yeah, yeah. And so, yeah, and really the biggest last piece is where do you find them? Because I'll tell you, corporations don't hang out with entrepreneurs. Young moms don't hang out with seniors. Like people, different groups hang out with each other.
Right.
So if you're not specific, I just had a client, I was coaching her through picking her niche, and she's like, okay, women 35 to 45 is my niche. Well, if women 35 to 45 divorcing women, there's 22 meetup groups for them alone in Toronto. Or if it's soccer player women or soccer interested women. So people gather by interest or industry. So you have to age no longer. You can't ask people what their age is, and they don't gather by age. They
Yeah,
gather
absolutely.
by interest or industry. So these are some of the things that I help my clients do. Is any of this making sense?
Absolutely makes total sense. And we teach that and coach to that as well.
Yeah, I know. Well, and how could you even pick a niche without, without that? So I'm glad you do. I'm glad you're part of the converted.
Yeah, we have a little breakdown exercise where we really put it down into the demographic, male, female. Let's say like Facebook is really great. You can find 35-year-old psychotherapeutic nurses in Atlanta, Georgia, uh, who are divorced.
Hmm. Hmm.
You can
Wow.
you can break it down as much as you want to. The key that we were teaching on, and it's you're alluding to it, is getting a good idea of who that person is, and then market to them as opposed to
Mhm.
market. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
fabulous.
for sure. Well, I mean, part of knowing where they gather is that you know where to speak and where to network. And it's great to find them online, but I am such a proponent of face-to-face marketing. And when you're growing internationally, like you and I are doing, I'm in Toronto, you're all the way in the US, but um, people still gather even online by interest. I mean, look
Right.
at LinkedIn groups, right? And look at even Facebook groups. So it's really critical that you go to a place where you find them in blocks of similar people. Because if you're just looking at by age or even by psychographics is really hard. Like I had a coach who said he was a happiness coach and he wanted to help people who wanted to get happier. And I couldn't think of any organizations, associations, trade shows in Canada who have specifically, who cater specifically to people who want to be happier. But if he was interested in, let's say, positive psychology, they have conferences for that. But the only people who come to that are other therapists. So if he was looking for clients who are trying to get happier, we niched him in divorcing women. Or, we looked at other niches such as cancer survivors. So these are groups that actually hang out together. They actually congregate together and they get together because they're self-organizing. So that's the one of the benefits of picking a very finely defined niche. So I'll go through. There's a little picture of my little guy, and I can't remember. Do you guys have kids? You have grandkids, don't you?
We have grand puppies.
Oh, puppies. Okay, so you don't have any kids.
Yeah. We have. I have a daughter, and my wife has a son and daughter from her previous marriage as well. They're all grown up.
Right.
They're your
So,
age.
yeah. Well, I don't know if you remember this stage then. There's a stage where they're transitioning from mush to solid food, right? And
Right.
You're supposed to mix a little bit more solids in there, like, lumps. Well,
Sure.
Logan refused to eat the lumps because he would gag on them and he would throw up. So pretty soon he refused food altogether, and I was just, going ballistic. And
Right.
I thought the kid is starving, and you can see clearly in the picture he wasn't. But I thought, he's starving. He's dying, my baby. So I went out and I hired 3 pediatric nutritionists, and I went crazy across the country. And 2 of them could not help us. And then they referred us to this woman whose specialty, would you believe, is transitioning from mush. She was a pediatric, and because she was so finely niched and because it was such a need, she was all over the Huffington Post. She was always getting media mentions and she was getting media interviews. So her colleagues, who we were paying but could not help us, gave us her name and number. I learned how to Skype for that woman. It was all the way across the country. And I paid her more. She was more than all the rest. And do you think I was willing to do what she told me to do?
Absolutely.
Oh, God, yeah. So those are the benefits of really having a narrow niche, is you increase your credibility and your fees as an expert. And
Absolutely.
then you increase your perceived value. I would have done anything for that woman. I would have done anything she said.
Yeah.
And it worked, by the way. And then competition becomes your colleagues, because her colleagues referred her because they could see they couldn't help us because she was
Right.
so finely niched. And then I attract higher quality clients because experts hire experts. And then you increase marketing effectiveness because you know where to find the exact people that you're looking for. So she knows to go to baby groups, right? She's not just going to go to any woman's group of that age. She's going to go to baby groups to market. So does that sound like how you guys are looking at your niching?
Absolutely. And we talk about this is your interview, not mine, but we talk about even if you're talking to Joe, the guy down there who's changing the oil in your car, is not your target market, but Joe's Uncle Bob is looking for you. And so when you tell them what you do and how you do it, you're sending the message through them to whoever's going to receive it. And they're going to send you people, hey, Uncle Bob, I just talked to this incredible lady. This is the person you were complaining about at dinner Sunday,
Yeah.
And
that's exactly right.
That's really how the message works.
Yeah, because you're so clear. And see, one of the things that happens, I don't know if you've seen this with your clients, when people are so unclear about what they do and who they do it for, they're just like, let's say, a life coach, or they're just like a spiritual coach, but they haven't really defined it like, I help pregnant women get over the stress of losing their body weight, or, if they're not that specific, then they start to get referrals by loving family and friends, but
Yeah.
it's never for what they do for a living. It is such a
Uh-huh.
disconnect, because they're like, I can't help you. That's not what I do. But their family is so unclear about what they do that they have referred wrong people and continue to
Exactly
refer
right.
the wrong people. It's really sad.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm totally with you.
Yeah, for sure. So here's the biggest question. So, most people know, okay, I should have a niche. I should have more of a focus. But how the heck do you pick it? Do you know how most people pick their niche? Most businesses?
Dart on the wall.
Yeah, yeah. Or they fall into it. Or they fall into it. Like, um, one of the most successful real estate agents in our area is East Indian. And guess why? It's because her community buys from her. Because she
Right.
fell into the East Indian niche because that's all she knew to begin with. Right? So it's either you fall into a niche, or because your background is that, it works out for you. But other times it doesn't. So, like, for example, a woman I met, her mother died, and she decided, okay, I went through such hell, I'm going to become a grief coach. So, do you know what happened to her?
Huh?
For 2 years, she starved. She did barters. She did, free coaching. And the reason was because there's no need for that niche, because apparently through church and through your hospice and through the hospitals, you already get that kind of coaching for free. So she had no market, and that's what we're trying to prevent. So here's how to pick it. So when I left my corporate job, I thought, should I become a leadership coach to corporate managers so this pain in the boardrooms goes away? Or should I do what I've done for 20 years, marketing, and help small businesses? And so there's 3 criteria you pick. One is the fit for you, your personality, skill set, experience, background, and preference. And so you rate it out of a score of 10. And for leadership coaching to corporate managers, I rated 8 because I had no HR background. But marketing to entrepreneurs, I rated a 10 because I knew inside out what marketing was, and I was an entrepreneur. So the ability to generate the revenue you want is a critical one. Had that poor woman whose mother died done this back of the envelope, and she'd gone out and talked to a couple of people who's went through grief, and asked them, would you pay $500 a month for a grief coach to help you through the grief? And 9 out of 10 said no. She would have known that her ability to generate the revenue would have been 0 out of 10. So I rated myself. I went and talked to some big corporations. I thought, wow, they have a lot of money. So that was 10 out of 10. And then I looked at entrepreneurs, and they had a little bit less money. So I rated them 8 out of 10. And then access is, do you have access to large groups of these people, or anybody in your natural networks? Well,
Yeah.
I had no HR contacts, none. The company that I worked for, she was just a figurehead in Canada. She didn't have any seniority, any decision making, and I didn't know anybody. So that was 2 out of 10. And marketing to entrepreneurs, they're everywhere. So that was a 10 out of 10. So I added up the scores. Obviously, you can see it was a 20 versus 28. So today, what I do is marketing to entrepreneurs.
Great.
Did you go through something similar for yourself?
I fell into where I'm at, and Linda and I brought 5 businesses to a pair of coaches for a VIP day, and through that, Evolutionary Healer was born. And all
Right.
5 of the businesses are in one business now.
Wow.
And so once we went through the clarity exercise, so we really got some clarity about who we are and who we want to help.
Mm-hmm.
Then my background in corporate, I did a lot of market demographic studies in the different areas where I was a manager and chief operating officer of various companies and stuff like that. I wanted to know who all my customers are who my
Mm-hmm.
likely customers are, where do they eat, what do they drive, where do they sleep, do they buy houses, do they rent condos, what do they do, who are they, so that there is no question in my mind who my company is attracting, which
Mm.
is similar to what you were doing. And that was
Very
really
good. Yeah.
excellent training in the international corporation I was working at the time. That
Yeah.
was part of my general manager training, was to go through that process. So a
Wow.
lot of that stuff that we learn in corporate and other places in life really started to play.
Yeah.
I even
I love
found
that.
some stuff from church camp in my past in team building that I use now for my
Right.
worldwide organization,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So
That's
you
so
just
cool.
it's
Yeah.
it's being present with who you really are,
Yeah.
and what your real skill set is. Like I'm sure that
Hmm.
that whole thing is a daily thing for you as well.
Yeah. And in fact, I'm so passionate about this coming out of my VIP day with
Uh,
David Nagel that I was telling you guys about. We created something that what you described as your general manager training. We've put into a 2-day market demand intensive, something
uh,
that you actually come in to a room and with 5 other businesses, you get on your phone and you're making 15 calls to 3 different niches that are pre-scheduled for that day, 15-minute calls each to ask them all a series of questions around do they want you, what their pain point is, how they would Google you, and if they would pay for you, what you want.
right.
So then they knock off those 15 calls in one day, which is the hardest part of any of our coaching, really, of all of my 6-month programs. People are like, oh, I just can't do it. I can't do it. But this is like getting them into a room, getting them to knock the calls off. And day 2, we take that data of who needs you, what they'll pay for you, and if they're not willing to pay for you. And then we put that into a plan. So that's called like your 2-day market demand intensive. And it's brand new. I'm running one at the end of this month. I'm so excited.
Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do something similar to that on a smaller scale for our 1 day VIPs.
Nice. Very
So
nice.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
So
and we
cool.
have them do some homework ahead of
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
and they have a lot of paperwork that they bring to the meeting just
Yeah.
to start.
Yeah. That's
And
great.
yeah, that's fabulous.
Gets them into the action. So so the summary is here's a good visual. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Here's a great visual. To figure out, what is your niche and just get clear on why you need the niche and be convinced that you really do need a very specific niche and there has to be enough market demand for that niche to pay you enough money to have the kind of life that you want to have. And I have clients who are okay with like literally happy making $60,000 a year and I'm happy with that too. I'm happy to get them there faster. And then I have clients who want to make, $1 million and I'm okay with that too. But get clear on where that's going to come from. If it's not working out from your current market, figure out a new market. And if you don't know how to do that, then get help.
Yeah.
And because the benefits are so clear. And how you pick it is first you do the back of the envelope like I showed you based on those 3 criteria. And then you actually literally just have coffee dates or have phone chats or you come into the workshop and knock them off all at once. But you talk to human beings. You talk to human beings who would actually hire you. And that there's no other way. There's no other shortcut to do that. And I have clients who, refuse to do that and want to just dabble online to see if there's a demand. They want to look at their competitors to see who's doing the same thing. You won't get clients by, sitting behind your computer, unfortunately, like we're doing. I mean, it takes a lot more interaction to grow your business, especially to the 6-figure level. I don't know. Would you
Absolutely.
agree? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. The 10,000 pound phone really isn't that heavy. You know, what
Yeah.
we've had a lot of success for us and our clients when we teach them, um, give up the requirement for the phone.
Uh-huh.
Set up a system, not a goal, but a system of talking to 5 people a day or 10 people a day,
Hmm.
where you're talking to a human. Now, if
Mm-hmm.
you're at home taking care of the kids, the odds of somebody walking by every few minutes are pretty slim.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a requirement to pick up the phone, you know,
Yeah.
and talk to people.
Yeah.
And for those who are just starting out, call a friend or a relative or somebody that you've at least met before, and you kind of have some sort of a relationship going on,
Yeah.
and tell them what you're doing.
Yeah.
Talk
Yeah.
to them.
Yeah.
It's the hardest part. It's not so much what we found. It's not so much the phone. It's the voice on the other side.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
that, hey, no, I don't want to talk to you. Okay, so what? There's 7.5 billion people in the world. You're
Who
not going to
are?
run out of people to talk to, you know.
Yeah.
But what we
Yeah.
do is we say, okay, throw away the goals, create yourself a system
Uh-huh.
where you talk to X amount of people a day. Now, ultimately, what's going to happen is you're going to get more comfortable, more confident, and your
Yeah.
closing rate for new customers is going to expand hugely.
Yeah.
And the system of talking to people a day is not as scary as I've goaled myself for 10 phone calls. Oh my God, I'll forget that. Don't
Yeah.
put
Yeah.
stress on yourself.
Yeah.
Enjoy who you are and what you do, and it'll show. You
Yeah.
know, you do
Yeah.
that very well.
Thank you. Thank you. So do you.
You're
Uh,
welcome.
it's I love that. I love that. And I want to add that I will never make a client call if they don't want to. I'm just as fine with them showing up at an event or a meetup group or a networking place. If they just are terrified of the phone, that's okay as long as they can show up in person. Some people just prefer that. I'm okay with that. In fact, I'm better with that because you get to talk to more people, you get to have a deeper interaction, and you can connect better. So,
Absolutely.
there really is no excuse not to be able to get new clients. There is no excuse. And if you don't know how, there is a way for you to get help at every price point. It doesn't matter, but get help, right? Get
Yeah.
clarity and get help. So in line with that, I'd like to offer something to our viewers, if I may.
Yeah, I see that down there.
Yeah. So I've created something called the 5 key questions. Remember, I told you I get the people in the room for the intensive? These are the
Yeah.
questions we ask. The 5 key
Great.
questions to identify the qualified buying market and get more clients. Because if you don't know why you're in front of them and you don't know what to ask them during your coffee date, or it's just chit chat, it's not going to get you to a new client, and it's not going to get you to identify your buying market. And these are very, very, very strategic questions that you should be asking in exactly the same way to a homogeneous group of people. So if you're talking to 5 divorcing women, you have to ask them exactly the same way, exactly the same thing. And those are the questions. And you can just go down to my website called coachtactics.com and follow the link where you see this picture. And in addition, you get to be on my list where I can communicate with you every week and tell you my crazy stories.
Great, 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 great. And for you guys that are listening in, remember at the bottom of the email you received this morning, talking about Chala, the link for her gift is there as well. So you don't have to go crazy about typing in
Oh,
or
yeah,
picking it up and
that's true.
getting
Yeah,
distracted and not listening to us.
that's
So
right.
this has been fabulous. Again, everybody, you can go to the email. I want to bring in Chala now and have as we started a conversation. We're actually 2 people here. It's not uh, anonymous or whatever. And so, yes,
I
thank you.
get it.
So this has been fabulous. Thank you, my new
Yes, thank
friend.
you. Thank
This
you.
is, as you know, I love talking target markets and stuff and
Yeah.
market demographics. So this has been a lot of fun for me. I think it has for you by the smile
Yeah,
on your
you're good at
face.
this. You're good at this.
Well, everybody, that's it for this interview. I hope you brought with you or take away with you rather
Yeah.
some really good stuff, because there was some huge good stuff here. We'll see you again
Thank you.
soon.
Take care.